going on today, YouTube? Happy Saturday. Rob here. Today I'm going to be profiling another deck for you. This one is the Cyber Dragon deck that comes out of the Legendary Dragons booster box, if you want to call it that. Deck box, if anything. Again, this is a super casual deck, kind of fun to play, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more fun content. And without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get into this Cyber Dragon deck profile. So, first off, we're going to start with our 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. This is a 5-star monster. Whose effect is, if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Really good main card for the deck, at least main namesake for the deck. Then we're gonna have 3 copies of your Cyber Dragon Core. When this card is normal summoned, add 1 Cyber Spell or Trap card from your deck to your hand. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. You can only use Cyber Dragon Core's effect once per turn. And this card's name also becomes Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. Next we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Zwei, or Zwei. If this card attacks your opponent's monster, it gains 300 attack during the damage step only. Once per turn, you can reveal 1 spell card from your hand, and this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon until the end of that phase, or until the end phase. This card also becomes Cyber Dragon while in the graveyard. Then we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Dre or Dry. When this card is normal summoned, you can make all Cyber Dragons you currently control level 5. You cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate this effect except machine type monsters. If this card is banished, you can target 1 Cyber Dragon you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect for the turn. And when this card is in the graveyard or on the field, it becomes Cyber Dragon. Next we have 2 copies of Cyber Eltanin. Cannot be normal summoned, set, must be special summoned from your hand by banishing all light machine monsters from your field and graveyard. This card's attack and defense become the number of monsters banished for this special summon times 500. When this card is special summoned, send all other face-up monsters on the field to the graveyard. We have Double Cyber Phoenix. While this card is in attack position, negate all spell and trap effects that target 1 machine monster you control and no other cards. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. Then we have 2 copies of Cyber Valley. You can use one of these effects. When this card is targeted for an attack by an opponent's monster, you can banish this card, draw 1 card, then end the battle phase. You can target 1 face-up monster you control and this card, banish both, and then draw 2 cards. Or you can target 1 card in your graveyard, banish both this card and that 1 card from and 1 card from your hand, then place that target on the top of your deck. Next we have 1 copy of Armored Cybern. So once per turn, you can either target 1 Cyber Dragon monster you control, or 1 fusion type monster you control that lists Cyber Dragon as a fusion material, and equip this card, or unequip it and special summon it. Once per turn, while this equipped monster is used by this effect, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, and the equipped monster loses exactly 1000 attack, even if this card leaves the field. and if it does, destroy that target. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. And we have one copy of Cyber Dinosaur. When your opponent special summons a monster from their hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then we have one copy of Proto Cyber Dragon. This card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field. And lastly, for the monsters, we have one copy of Mechana Fortress. You can discard machine monster or monsters whose total level equal 8 or more, then special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, target one card your opponent controls, destroy that target. Before resolving an opponent's monster effect that targets this face-up monster card, look at your opponent's hand and discard one card from their hand. So that's it for all the monsters in this deck. Then we come to our spells, and we start off with 3 copies of Cyber Repair Plant. So if Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects, and if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, you can activate both effects and resolve in sequence. You can only activate one Cyber Repair Plant per turn, so you can either add one light machine monster from your deck or your hand, or target one light machine monster in your graveyard and shuffle that into your deck. And again, if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragon monsters in your graveyard, you can activate both. Then we have 3 copies of Evolution Burst. If you control Cyber Dragon, target one card your opponent controls and destroy that card. Cyber Dragon cannot attack the turn you activate this card. Then we have 2 copies of Overload Fusion. Fusion summon one Dark Machine Fusion type monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your deck or from your field or graveyard. And we have 2 copies of Power Bond. Fusion summon one machine fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials, and it gains attack equal to the original attack of the monster that you fusion summon. During the end phase of the turn that this card is activated, you take battle damage equal to the amount of attack gained from the effect of this card. Then we have 1 copy of Cybernetic Fusion Support. So you pay half your life points once, and if you do, you fusion summon one machine type fusion monster for this turn. You can banish monsters from your hand, field and or graveyard as the fusion materials, and you can only activate one Cybernetic Fusion Support per turn. And we have 1 copy of Future Fusion. During your first standby phase after this card's activation, show 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and send the fusion materials listed from your main deck to the graveyard. During your second standby phase and after this card's activation, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck with the same name as the fusion monster fusion monster that you showed, and target it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy the target, and when the target is destroyed, you destroy this card. Then we have 1 copy of Limiter Removal. Double the attack of all machine monsters you control until the end of this turn. During the end phase, you destroy all those monsters. And finally, we have 1 copy of Mechana Armored Unit. Once per turn, when a machine monster is destroyed by battle and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon 1 machine monster from your deck that has the same attribute and less attack than the destroyed monster in the graveyard. And that's it for the spells. And now we're gonna get to the traps. So first we're going to start off with 2 copies of Cyber Network. So destroy this card during your 3rd standby phase after activation. Once per turn, if Cyber Dragon is on the field, you can banish 1 light monster from your deck. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, special summon as many of your banished light machine monsters as possible. And if you do, destroy all spell and trap cards you control. Monsters that were special summoned by this effect cannot activate their effects. If you conduct your battle phase this turn, you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. Then we have 1 copy of Cyber Shadow Gardener. So, during your opponent's main phase, special summon this card as an effect monster. Machine Earth level 4. This card is also still a trap. When your opponent's monster declares an attack that targets this card, the attack and defense of this card become the attack and defense of the attacking monster. Once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, set this card in the spell and trap zone. 1 copy of Quaking Mirror Force. So when your opponent's monster declares an attack, change all your opponent's attack position monsters to face down defense position. And monsters change to face down defense position by this card effect cannot change their battle positions. Then we have 1 copy of Storming Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, return all your opponent's attack position monsters to the hand. And to round off for traps, we have Drowning Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all your opponent's attack position monsters into the deck. That's it for the traps, and now let's get on to the extra deck. So we have 1 copy of Chimeratech Mega Fleet Dragon, 1 Cyber Dragon monster plus 1 plus monsters in the extra monster zone. Cannot be used as fusion material. Must first be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either field or from either field to the graveyard. You do not use polymerization. The original attack of this card becomes 1200 times the number of fusion materials used for the special summon. Then we have 1 copy of Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. Cyber Dragon plus 1 plus machine monsters. Cannot be used as fusion material. Must first be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either field to the graveyard. You do not use polymerization. The original attack of this card becomes 1000 times the number of fusion materials used for this special summon. And we have 1 copy of Chimeratech Overdragon. This uses Cyber Dragon plus 1 plus machine monster. Again, must be fusion summoned. If this card is fusion summoned, send all other cards you control to the graveyard. The original attack and defense of this card becomes equal to the number of fusion materials used in its fusion summon times 800. Each turn, this card can attack your opponent's monsters a number of times equal to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summoning. Then we have 2 copies of Chimeratech Rampage Dragon. So you need 2 plus Cyber Dragon monsters. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials. When this card is fusion summoned, you can target spell and trap cards on the field equal to the number of fusion materials that were used for this fusion summon, and then destroy them. Once per turn, once per turn, you can send up to 2 light machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, each monster sent to the graveyard, this card gains an additional attack during the battle phase. Then we have 2 copies of Cyber Twin Dragon. So this takes 2 Cyber Dragons, and a fusion summon with this card can only be done with the above cards, and this card can make a second attack during each battle phase. Last for your fusions, we have Cyber End Dragon. This takes all three Cyber Dragons, and when this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. And that's it for our fusions. To round off, we have Xyz, and to start off that, we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nova. This requires 2 level 5 machine monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card and target 1 Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, special summon it. Once per turn, this is a quick effect, you can banish 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand or face up from your monster zone. This card gains 2100 attack until the end of this turn. If this card is in your possession is sent to the graveyard, by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 machine fusion monster from your extra deck. And lastly, we have 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Infinity. So this takes 3 level 6 light machine monsters, or Cyber Dragon Nova. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using Cyber Dragon Nova, as I have just mentioned, that you control as material. Transfer all overlay units to this card, and this card gains 200 attack for each material on it. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up attack position monster on the field, attach it to this card as face-up material. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, there's a quick effect where you can detach 1 material from this card and negate the activation, and if you do, you destroy that card. And that's it for the extra deck and the cards in this deck. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment on what you would like to see next. I do have other decks that I'm going to profile in the coming weeks, and I do have other booster boxes and other packs and whatnot that I'm going to be opening for you guys again in the coming weeks and couple months. And that's it for this video, and again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. That's game.